women as readers, on rereading new meanings into texts. But gynocriticism was equally concerned with woman as a writer. It examined how female experience was reflected in literature by women. So, phallocentrism focuses on woman as being a reader. So a woman should read the texts and realize that, in the canon of literature, in the canon of literary history, there are more number of texts written by men. And why is it so? Why do they dominate that field? Well, the first reason is that women were not allowed to write, and even if they wrote, they were not allowed to publish, and that led to the rise in the number of texts written by women. The other reason being, when you read the same text from the phallocentric perspective and gynocentric perspective, your approach might change. Phallocentric perspective as a reader might get you angry. Why? There is no existence of women writers in the canon of literature. But then when you go on to gynocentrism, you realize, so what if there is, no one? I will find out the names of the people that are not mentioned in the list. And not only just that, I will myself encourage people to read the texts written by women. I will bring them, or I will rather make them conscious enough to be sensitive to those texts. I will myself write a text, rather, if I have to start or inspire people or inspire other women writers to continue to write and add to the canon. Because if we as women don't add to the canon of literature, the number might get lesser and lesser. Already it is less as compared to the number of literary texts written by men. So your perspective changes from if you look at a text from a phallocentric perspective and if you look at a text from gynocentric perspective. Now, although she, as an Elaine Showalter, described women's literature in terms of a tradition and a unifying voice, she refuted suggestions of a movement which implies a cohesion that does not exist in the fragmented history of female authorship. She also cautioned that these commonalities were not indicative of a collective female imagination, such as essentialism. Such essentialism ignored the real differences between women, not least difference of class and race, and gave false sense of unity. So she says, you should not club everything under one rubric, because the need of women in one geographical location will be different from another. Perhaps in one geographical location, women would be fighting for the right to live. In the other, the right to equal remuneration. In the other geographical location, maybe the need is, the right to vote. So looking at different geographical locations, the need of women is different. And therefore, just clubbing it all under one rubric would be very difficult and different. And therefore, essentialism helps you to understand it. Now, we would just wrap it up by saying that Showalter emphasizes that instead a network of shared culture situated in time and culture resulted in common themes and shared motives. These influences included attitudes towards female sexuality, the subordinate role of women in the patriarchal family, and legal and economic constraints. An examination of women's texts revealed recurrent themes of imprisonment and madness, for example, in that of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, wherein, Bertha Mason is called a mad woman in the attic, and that is also the title of the book written by Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gubar. I hope that whatever we discussed about gynocentrism and gynocriticism has been helpful to you. Thank you.
સંધાન. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
વંદે ગુજરાત.